Hey there everyone, I'm Rasen Ryu, but my friends call me Rasen. Tomb Raider the movie, the reboot that the franchise needs, or another reason video game movies should be dead and buried? Let's find out. So, here's the thing. I went to see Tomb Raider, but I haven't played any of the Tomb Raider games, so this will be a straight up movie review, even though the movie draws inspiration from the game. And there's gonna be spoilers too, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, then I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I've already given you a disclaimer, so don't say I didn't warn you. So this story is, for all intents and purposes, an origin story. Our protagonist, Lara Croft, played by Alicia Vikander, lives on her own in London. Her father, Lord Richard Croft, played by Dominic West, is presumed dead after going on one of his adventures, leaving behind an inheritance for her. I've always wondered what it takes to become a lord. I'd love to be called Lord Rasen Ryu. Maybe I'd get a staff and cape or something. Well, she discovers clues as to her father's whereabouts and goes off to find him. She flies to China and convinces Lu Ren, played by Daniel Wu, to take her to an island off the coast of Japan. Once there, they're both captured by Matthias Vogel, played by Walton Goggins, and forced to work alongside other slaves to try and dig up the tomb of Himiko, the place that Richard was researching before his disappearance. They do this for, about 10 minutes before Lu Ren creates a distraction for Lara to escape. And afterwards, Lara finds her father, who had been living in a cave for the past 7 years. She wants to leave the island, but Richard explains that he can't leave as long as Vogel is still looking for Himiko's tomb, saying that Himiko is real and dangerous. Lara's not convinced and just wants off the island, so she goes back to where Lu Ren and Vogel are in order to try and steal a satellite radio to call for help. Well, by this time, Vogel has already found the tomb and has already called for someone to come pick up Himiko. Due to circumstances beyond Lara's control, she is forced by Vogel to open the tomb. And once in there, they all face traps and puzzles in order to advance through the tomb and make it to Himiko's sarcophagus. And then, it turns out, Himiko's curse is real, and if you touch her, you die. And by that I mean, if you touch her, you turn into like a walker from The Walking Dead, or a zombie from the Resident Evil series. It's kinda gruesome when you look at it. So, knowing he can't take all of her, Vogel takes a tiny piece of Himiko, and they all have a big fight about it, and Richard ends up getting infected by the curse. So he sets off a grenade and blows himself up in order to destroy Himiko and the tomb. As this is happening, Lara kicks Vogel into a pit and escapes the tomb before it completely collapses. Lara returns to London, and since Richard is actually dead, she finally signs her inheritance papers. She then learns that her tutor, Anna Miller, played by Kristen Scott Thomas, is working for an evil organization called Trinity, and was trying to get Lara to sign those papers in order to eventually gain control over the Croft Company herself. Sequel time, everybody! I know some people might have a problem with this, but I really liked that the movie explained how Lara knew so much about puzzles and archery through flashbacks and one-liners. The flashbacks especially. These flashbacks showed how close she was to her father, so it never really felt tacked on for me. I also liked how Vogel just wanted to go home. He was killing people and just being an evil guy, but he was also a prisoner, and he couldn't go home to his family until he actually found the tomb, so it's not like he was doing this just to be an evil guy, he was doing this to actually get back home. He didn't care if the curse was real or not either. He was skeptical as well as Lara. Speaking of Lara being skeptical, when her dad finally told her about what Himiko's curse was, she definitely didn't believe him. She came from London, where nothing supernatural or anything like that was happening. And I really liked that about the movie too, where we always saw everything from Lara's perspective, so when it came to supernatural things like that, she, along with anyone else who hadn't seen anything supernatural, were completely skeptical. And I liked all the action sequences throughout the movie too. When she escapes from the tomb, that very last action sequence, it looks like a video game, and I just keep expecting quick time buttons to come up, like the triangle or the square button or something. It's actually really cool. And the sequence where she falls into the river and over a waterfall and through a plane and through trees just to escape from Vogel, that was very well executed in my opinion. And it really brought realism to the whole environment, and she didn't even come out of that unscathed either. It felt very real, and I liked that. Okay, so I didn't like how Lu Ren found out that his father was dead and there was no real resolution for him throughout the movie. I know he was like a tertiary character or whatever, like not really all that important to the plot, but I kind of feel like Laura made a connection with him in the movie and he didn't really get any closure from the fact that his father was dead. Just that he knows now, and that sucks. That sucks. And here's another thing. When Richard goes up to the tomb before Laura opens it, he just goes up to it and stands there and examines the tomb. Not even really examines, he just kind of looks at it. It's like he's looking at it in awe. Like he's never seen it before, or that he just wanted to make sure that it stayed closed. But he could have done that from afar. Richard knows how to open the tomb, so why would he go to the tomb so Vogel could open it? It's this thing with characters that I don't like. It's stupid characters. I can't. It takes me out of the movie experience. It takes me out of any experience, quite honestly. When they went into the tomb, there were traps and puzzles. Some of the traps were just spike and bar traps. You know, the usual spring-loaded traps that you'd see in tombs like Indiana Jones or something. But then there was this one trap, I just call it the light trap, where they had to hold up transparent colored rocks in order to solve the puzzle. But that trap needed a light source to work. So if there was no light from the guy outside of the doors shining a flashlight into the room, then they would have died. There would have been no way to complete the trap unless you didn't need light, or that trap was just meant to kill intruders. Didn't make much sense to me. And so I talked about how the flashbacks made it so we saw that Laura was close to her father before his disappearance. But then during the beginning of the movie, she sells off her necklace that she got from her father before he left. So I would assume that this had sentimental value to her. But then she goes and sells this thing to a pawn shop in order to fund her trip to China. And it's like, why wouldn't you just use the inheritance money? Just sign those papers and you get that money, then you can go search for your father, instead of throwing away the last sentimental thing you have of him. That part didn't really make sense to me. She's lucky it was valuable. And I was also kinda upset by how obvious it was that Anna was more than she seemed. But maybe it's just because I watched too many movies. Like, the camera work made sure that we knew that she had something to hide, but she wouldn't really say anything, or at least that's what I got. But kudos to her for having so much patience when she was waiting for Laura to sign those inheritance papers. She waited for 7 years. Saint level patience. Overall, I liked the movie. If you like your protagonists overcoming very real dangers with a hint of the supernatural, then you should really go see it. It's not some critically acclaimed masterpiece of a video game adaptation, but it's a pretty fun escape. I do hope it gets a sequel though, as that would mean more action, better puzzles and traps, and a stronger Laura. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it does well enough. And that's Tomb Raider. I enjoyed making this video, and I'm gonna do it again. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, mash those like, sub, and bell buttons, and leave a comment if you wish. Before her role as Lara Croft, Alicia Vikander was almost Maria in the Assassin's Creed movie. Maria was Aguilar's partner in the fight against the Templars during the Spanish Inquisition, so it would have been a supporting role instead of a lead role. But sometime during development, Vikander had to drop out due to scheduling issues with Jason Bourne. It's pretty cool that she was almost in another video game movie. Could it be that she likes video games? On that note, I'm Rasenryu, and I'll see y'all next time.